Thank you for taking the time to watch this video tutorial on data security practices for educators and staff and students for the Webster Central School District. This information is required by New York State law as part of Ed Law 2D. One of our goals is that we have to train you on a yearly basis, so this is our first attempt to walk through some of the changes and some of the improved practices that we need to do in order to keep our information, data, and our students and staff safe, secure in the ever-changing world of cybersecurity. What we're going to start talking about is personally identifiable information, also known as PII. PII can be anything from a student's name through a parent's name, staff name, address, phone number, date of birth, any type of ID, social security number, and any other data that can be linked to student and staff. So some of the required elements of PII under New York State law, Ed Law 2D, that will be passed in January 1st of 2020 is that districts will not sell student or staff data for any commercial purposes, that the parents have a right at any time to their child education records online, that we as a district must protect student and staff data at all points. We need to maintain and provide a list of any software vendors and companies that we work with to New York State once a year. Also, parents will have the ability to address a concern regarding a breach, as well as staff members and students. And one of the biggest changes is how the Webster Central School District will interact with third-party contracts and how we supply information such as student name, date of birth, and any PII information that we use within those programs. The Webster Central School District's data protection team will consist of Brian Zimmer, Eric Blass, Joe Montemero, and Rick Bennett. Later in this presentation, we will talk about how that team will work to effectively keep the data of the Webster Central School District staff and students as secure as possible. Going forward, we are going to work on 5 identifying principles in order to maintain a really strong cybersecurity footprint for Webster Central School District. The first thing we're going to do is identify. We're going to make sure we have good asset management all the way through a good supply chain and as well as risk management of our current data practices. We're going to continue to find ways to protect our data through access control, training, security, and protective technology. We're going to provide tools that are going to detect and monitor our current environment to make sure we're doing everything we can to keep our data secure, which that also includes monitoring the practices of our staff members and students to make sure that they aren't doing anything that could possibly hinder that. We also have plans for how we are going to respond if any data breaches do occur. And then ultimately, the last phase is how we recover if we do have a data breach and how we continue to move forward with training, communications, and further improvements in order to protect our environment.
As a district, we have 3 main data sources that control and house our main pieces of information. On the student front, that's Infinite Campus. That houses all of our student information as well as grades and family information, addresses. There is some staff information housed there for communication and for linking that to the students. However, the majority of our staff information is housed in WinCap and Frontline. On a security front, all 3 of these data systems have been vetted by the district and are secure as we can be assured that they are. The important thing to think about is what does the data do that comes out of these systems and where does that go? So as we think about sharing data out of these systems, as a district we want to limit that data to only what's necessary. In the past few years we've done that particularly with Google logins for students and sharing those with outside companies. However, there are a lot of times when teachers, administrators, other staff members need to pull student information, particularly from Infinite Campus, and we'll have that personally identifiable information available out of Infinite Campus. That could be in a hard paper form sitting on a desk. That could be on a screen that you have open in a coffee shop, or it could be sitting on your desk on a screen when you walk out to go to the bathroom. Those are the places where we need to think about how we're sharing that information and how we're safeguarding that. The more that we can do as staff members to secure that information up front, the better off that we will be. The other part about that is the first bullet there, to think about how we can share information with other individuals that may need it and limit that to only the necessities that need to be shared. In many cases, that can just be the Google ID. Sometimes we need to add a student name or an address or a date of birth or an ID to that. But again, we want to limit that as much as possible to the bare bones of data that needs to.
We also need to be able to protect you and our students using instructional tools, including software and apps. In order to do that, we request that all software and apps please be vetted through our tech services department. That protocol and form can be found on our technology website on the intranet. In order to do that, it will take us some time to vet those products to make sure that they meet the New York State requirements according to the law, and that they do protect students' personal information. So please make sure that any instructional software that you do want to use or have a question about, please reach out to us first. We can have a conversation and then we can begin that process. Avoid using freeware or software that is not approved by Webster CSD. When you do sign up for freeware, please be aware that you are the one signing the contract and will be liable for a data breach. So in order to protect you to the fullest, please make sure that you are reaching out to us. When setting up any classroom rosters or accounts in software, please remember to not use students' personally identifiable information. We ask that you use their first name only and nothing else to tie them to the student. We do our best to vet products that will roster your classes ahead of time, but some of them are not able to do that at this time, so please be aware when you're doing those things. Some examples of freeware versus paid apps. In our district, we use some different freeware such as Flippity or Edpuzzle, and then we do have various paid apps, Learning A to Z, Splash Math. If you do have questions about what has been approved, please go to our district software page. There are K5 resource pages as well as 612 resource pages, which will help you identify those. Social media and digital communications. Please remember to take some time before using any social media or digital communications to think about what the purpose is for those communications and who your audience is and what you want to post. We ask that you follow the rules of digital citizenship that we are teaching our students and follow those so that you can be a great example on how things should be done in the digital world. Remember that the personally identifiable information is something that you should protect at all costs. Whether you're using a website, social media, or any other platform to communicate, please try to remember who you need to communicate with. If you're only communicating with those parents in your classroom, that may not be something that you want to broadcast to the entire world on a social media or a website. Do not publish anything that violates copyright law. Remember this, especially surrounding artwork, works of music and songs, those things that our students perform in, those things are protected by copyright law and should not be published in any format. Also, please be cautious with student pictures. There is a list of students in your building who have asked to not be photographed, but even those students who are not on that list, please try to think through whether or not you really need student pictures to be seen in what you are posting, or whether it is just a promotion of work and things in your class.
One of the things as a district that we're going to continue to do as part of our protocol and practices is we're going to require all staff to reset your password yearly. We are currently working on a protocol to have students do that also. Some of the reminders to think about is please do not write down your passwords and then store them on your desk or in your desk or share them with anyone. This includes sharing your passwords with substitutes. All substitutes have login information that they can use in order to access the environment, but please never share your passwords. If you choose to store your passwords in Google, you are protected, as well as you can go out and use password protected tools such as 1Password and other things like that. Those are totally acceptable. Those programs encrypt your passwords to make it as secure. One of the changes that we are making, that if you forget your password and you call the help desk, you're going to be required to provide some information on the back of your ID badge. So if you've forgotten your password, you will need to have your badge when you call the help desk at 265-6400 in order for them to reset them so that we can verify that it is real. So some of the things that you should continue to do as we move forward is never to place any PII information in any instructional programs without approval. Keep your password secure. Please do not share them with anybody. One of the things that we want you to all think about is think before you click. Take the time to think and pause about what you're doing. Another thoughtful recommendation is this is for not only at school but in your personal life, is think about and be thoughtful of the website you visit and purchase from. One of the things that is occurring a lot lately is that credit card information is being stolen from websites. Please make sure that you are thinking about those things before you purchase them, and then making sure you've done everything to protect your personally identifiable information from having future problems. So if there are challenges that involve school, and which includes any potential data breaches or unauthorized releases of personally identifiable information, please contact Brian Zimmer. I will walk you through this process of what you need to do, which will include providing us with an information packet of what has occurred. Within 30 days, we'll investigate the incident and come back to you with a recommendation, as well as come back with a recommendation of how we continue to move the district forward, not only from a training piece, but also from a recovery. That has to be done within a 30-day window, so you will hear from us pretty quickly once we determine what exactly has occurred. The last piece is every year, all staff members from our Board of Education all the way through our custodial staff will be required to do a yearly training. In the future, our goal is to get this onto the GNC network. Before this year, we are completing it through the Google process. When you are done, please make sure that you fill out the Google form, which will be attached to this presentation, and that will verify that you have completed this training for this school year. Thank you for watching, and have a great day.